All right, welcome to Elyrium. This is going to be a super high-level overview. Um, Still trying to figure out what I'm doing, and I'm still using some of the old art assets, but let's jump in. So this is a game that's already started, so we won't go over what the starting process looks like, but I'm going to go over some units real quick. So this is an infantry. Infantry are your base unit. You can move them one tile. So you can see here the map is on triangles. I guess I'll go over the map first real quick. So currently the map's on triangles, and these tiles can be moved interchangeably, hoping to have something like a player mat or something included so that the table doesn't move as much. But for now, that's what the triangles look like. So there's 4 different resources. We've got wood, livestock, stone, and iron, represented by these cards that I'm borrowing from different games. So stone, livestock, we're using our imagination that that's iron and wood. And this center tile here is desert. There's no penalty to be there, but you can't collect resources. So players can move across the board to conquer each other, and they can expand their influence as the game progresses. So infantry allows you to move 1 tile at a time, and they are a d6 in combat. Everyone can start off with the ability to play infantry. They can also build outposts. Outposts, as you can see here, are played in the center of the tile. They allow you to collect resources. So in this case, the green player has outposts on wood, livestock, and stone. The red player has on livestock, wood, and iron. So outposts are fun because you can switch between a couple of different options. You can collect one of the resources that they're on at the beginning of your turn, but then you can also choose to claim an infantry and put it down like that, or you can roll the resource dice. So it introduces a little bit of RNG if you want. There's 2 chances for Elyrium, which is this resource here. It's not featured on the board. It is harder to get, it is rare, but it is also a wild resource, as well as required for purchasing spells, which I will get into later. It's also the namesake of the game. So that's infantry, outpost. When you build an outpost, you gain a soul shade, which is a victory point. I'll get into those later. This is a highway. Highways are neutral. They can be used by either player, but what they allow you to do is collect resources from adjacent tiles, and it allows you to get 1 free troop movement per turn. So in this case here, let's say I had no need for livestock anymore. I just wasn't feeling it. Because I have a highway between these 2 tiles, I could actually, from this location, collect stone. So I could collect stone twice, once from here and 1 from here, or I could collect stone from this one using the highway, and iron from this one using that highway. So it allows you to have a greater variety of resources, because otherwise you can only collect what you're built on. So for example, here, the red player, they are not built on stone, so they would have no way of getting stone except for the red player has a highway connecting those 2 tiles together, so they can collect stone or iron from this location. They also allow for 1 free troop movement. So in the example I'm going to show you, the red player could get 1 free movement with that, and then continue to move. And this is a knight. Knights have 2 movement instead of 1, and they are d8 in combat. So this knight, even though he's all the way over here, can actually travel the majority of the map and invade this location on the red player's turn. So that is your infantry, outpost, highway, and then the final thing that everyone can build once they reach level 3, which is pretty early on in the game, are spells. There's 4 different spells: lightning, destruction, protection, and time warp. Names might change, but they all have different abilities. Lightning is basically random chance high damage, but you can also whiff. So you roll a d6 and you take a haircut, and if you roll like a 1, then you just don't do any damage at low level. But you can also, if you roll a 6, deal 4 damage instantly for the low cost of 1 Elyrium at low level. So lightning can be really powerful. Destruction is a guaranteed damage over time ability. Protection allows you to force some of your opponents back, so it protects you if you get invaded. Time warp allows you to try your luck if you had a really bad dice roll, or if your opponent just had a really good one, you can force some rerolls there. And there's some nuances with spells that as you gain victory points, they get more powerful. So for example, here at level 1, which is the base level, which you unlock at level 3 or with 3 victory points, it's roll d6, your opponent removes 2, or sorry, less 2, and they remove that from the army. So if you roll a 6, they lose 4. If you roll a 2, they lose none. If you roll a 4, they lose 2. So pretty simple math. Level 2, it's only -1, and at level 3, you just, whatever you roll, they get removed, and they have to take away 1 from an adjacent tile. All right, pardon the interruption. I guess my phone was completely out of space, so I had to go and delete, like, I don't know, a year and a half worth of stuff. So, pardon the interruption. All right, so yeah, that's essentially how lightning works. I'm still tempted to make it so that it can deal up to whatever and it spills into another tile if you needed to, but I want to make sure that it's more than just a step up in power from level 2 to 3. So 1 is pretty good, 2 is better, 3 is way better, is the hope. So there's lightning, destruction, which is just damage over time, protection, and so on. So I think I already talked about those in the other video. So that's how spells work. So everyone can unlock them at 3. So this is how the upgrades work. So this is going to look a lot different in the new slides, or in the new materials. It's just it's its own card for the Victory Shades. It doesn't have other information on it. I might go back to something like this where it's got a quick reminder on how to play the game. But for now, let's focus on the Soul Shades. So everyone starts the game with 1 Elyrium, and they start with 2 outposts on the map, which puts you at 2 victory points. So at that point, before the game even really starts, you choose your first upgrade. And so you choose between 4 different choices. There's the outpost, there's the fortress, there's knights, and there's archers. So at level 3, you unlock spells. Level 4, you get an Elyrium. Level 5, you choose your second upgrade. Level 6, your spells become empowered at level 2, as discussed over here. At level 7, you get an empowerment token, which right now I don't have any of them on the table, but essentially it unlocks this ability here. So there's multiple heroes or soul Starfallen that you can choose from. I'm probably going to change the name to Celestials or maybe Elyrium or something, but anyway, it's those little fire spirit thingies that I drew the art for. So this player's is that they steal 2 random resources from every player. So in a 2-player game, which is what this map is set up to be, not overly powerful. It sucks because they lose 2 and you gain 2. But in a 4-player game, you get 6 resources and people collectively lose 6. So it's pretty powerful in a bigger game. So you unlock that at level 7, or at 7 victory points. 8, you unlock your 3rd upgrade. 9, you get your spells upgrade to the final level. And at 10, you win the game. So in this example here, we have a red player and a green player. The green player has 6 victory points, which you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 for this being upgraded, and then we'll assume that they won 1 victory point in combat. So that puts them up to 6. And right now we've got 3 victory points on the table for the red player, but they're at 4. So we assume that they've won 1 victory point from battle. Oh, sorry, forgot. I need to go over the final things that you can build. So you start with these 4 things you can choose from, essentially. I mean, spells you have to unlock, but you start with infantry, outposts, and highways. Okay, so you can upgrade your infantry into an archer, which right now, this is just very much a placeholder. It's just a bow and arrow, but archers can bombard opponents from the next door tile. So if this archer were here and it was a green player's turn, they would roll a d8, and if they rolled a 1, 2, or a 3, they would be successful in hitting a unit, and the red player would have to remove 1. If they rolled a 4, 5, 6, or 8, then it would be ineffective. So that's what archers do. They can move 1 tile just like an infantry. Then you have the knight, which will probably look something more or less like this. Knights can move 2 tiles, and they are d8 in combat. So those are the 2 upgrade choices for your infantry, but you have to have chosen them as an upgrade over here if you want to build them. Now in this place, the green player chose the city for their first, and so they've been able to build 1 on the board. They gain a victory point when they upgrade it. Same things when they build an outpost. The city allows for you to collect 2 resources that you're built on, and they also allow you to roll the resource dice. You can no longer choose to get an infantry from that tile. Now you can still pay for 1, but you can't choose 1 at the beginning of your turn. In addition, you get a reduced cost for the resource that you're built on. So in this case, the green player is built on iron. So normally it's a 3-to-1 trade-in, but if the green player had this in their hand, they could trade these two in for Elyrium because of the city. And I'll note that if you have a highway connecting these together, then you would also be able to get 1 wood, 1 iron, or 2 wood, 2 iron, reduced trade-in cost for the wood and iron. So highways are very powerful with cities. All right, so the other building, they look like this, which you've already seen on the board. Also, the other upgrade is the fortress, which is what the green player chose for rank 5. In this case, and by the way, when you upgrade a building, you pay the cost, and then you drop this on like a Lego. So, bada bing, bada boom. That is a fortress. Fortress generate 2 infantry per turn, but they no longer collect resources. So it's a trade-off if you want to upgrade. You gain a victory point, and you gain some power, but you also lose some flexibility. Overall, the upgrades tend to be better for late game, and the outposts tend to be better for the early game.